All right, so I think there's going to be a really loud pop. I'm going to move away. Oh, maybe not. So welcome, everybody. My name is Longmaid, and I am, well, I'm going to tell you who I am in my presentation. But I'll tell you a little bit about the presentation. First, I'm going to talk about me, and then I'm going to talk about the restaurateur and sustainability issues in that industry, briefly. And then I'm going to talk about you. So, here we are at iHub, talking about the sustainable restaurant. This is not advancing, let's see. Oh. Okay, so this is me about 10 years ago. I used to own a restaurant, and I came to cooking through the back, well, through the ranks. I started as a dishwasher, and I worked my way up the cooking line. I became an executive chef, and then I owned my own restaurant. So it's a topic that's near and dear to my heart. In 2007, I came to this, well, I sold the restaurant. And in the time when I had the restaurant, one very interesting thing happened for me. I moved away from being really excited about food. I was trained as a vegetarian chef. I moved away from being very excited about food, and I got really excited about business. Business moves a lot of levers, and I was in a small town, but I became a civic leader almost immediately when I opened the doors of my restaurant. I became very interested on how business influences society. So I worked in the field of business when I sold my restaurant. And then I should qualify, when I opened the restaurant, I wouldn't have known a profit loss statement if it had hit me over the head, okay? But apparently I learned quickly, because when I sold my restaurant, I made a little bit of money, which is all gone now. So in 2007, I came to this conference, and the conference had been, it started in 2006, and I had a huge epiphany. So I don't know if I had been actively ignoring sustainability when I owned the restaurant. I would say yes, I was actively ignoring sustainability when I had my restaurant. So when I came, this is literally what happened. I started listening. So this conference is about business and sustainability. And when I heard those things put together, it was a huge aha for me. And I'll say this, and I don't say this often, but really for me, sustainability is like the spiritual part of business. Don't quote me on that, but that's really what I think. Because it doesn't fly very well in the business world. Okay, so after the conference, I decided I had been working as a consultant. I was going to dedicate my consultancy to issues of sustainability exclusively. And I didn't know anything about sustainability. So what ended up happening is I started managing programs. I managed a program for Anne, who's sitting over there on her laptop. I managed an energy efficiency program, and I learned a lot. And then I went on and I helped organize this conference. I was the marketing director for this conference one year. I just took whatever jobs came to me that was linked to sustainability. And after a couple years, this is what I thought would happen. I thought my path in sustainability would be similar to my path in cooking. I thought I would come in as a low-ranking officer, and I would work my way up. Well, I kept hitting this barrier of not knowing anything about business, even though I had owned my own business. And I couldn't get over that barrier. So what I ended up doing was going to grad school, which is where I am now. I am an MBA student in Sustainable Enterprise at Presidio Graduate School. And I can talk to you about that school after here. And there's also Green MBA students here too, and you can talk to either one of us. They're both great programs. So when I got to grad school, I have to say that I was a little mystified that everything circled back to food service in all my work. So I took a macroeconomics class, and we had to write a paper on Porter's 5 forces. I'm not going to do a lecture on Porter's 5 forces, but it's very interesting to me. And I was really excited about this idea of a sustainable food service expo. Because like I said, I had been this restaurateur and knew nothing about sustainability. Now I work as a sustainability professional. I know the world of like what offerings there, I know what opportunities lie for the restaurateur. So I wrote this paper, and you basically, you look and see what are the forces operating in the industry against this idea, and the idea fared really well in this paper. So I moved on from that semester. Oh, actually, I'll tell you what I learned in this paper about the industry. So just bear with me for a couple seconds. I'm going to talk a little bit about the industry. So this is how I see the industry, the restaurant industry. There's 2 segments, okay? There's the Dardens, which owns, these are large corporate firms. They own Olive Garden and Red Lobster, I was gonna say Pink Lobster for some reason. Red Lobster, and then there's Brinker's, who owns Chili's and some other. There's basically 4 big corporations that own a lot of chains. And then there's the little guys. Zazu, one of my favorites. Girl in the Fig, another one of my favorites. Both happen to be female owners. Well, couple. So these two industries, these two segments in the industry act very, very differently with regards to doing business. And that was reflected in my report. And they actually, with regards to, say, sustainability initiatives, they also adopt very different sustainability initiatives. And I don't know, I'm going to go into that too much, but I can talk to you afterwards. So one thing that so intrigues me about the restaurant industry is every sustainability issue that you can think of exists in almost equal parts in the restaurant industry. So I want to look at the slide with you. You see the back of my head for a second. So let's say lighting. There's one other thing I want to call out about the restaurant industry. This is what's very, very interesting to me. Light industry in the back of the house. It's like a manufacturing plant in the back of the house. It is a manufacturing plant in the back of the house. Front of the house, high-end hospitality, depending on, you know, what kind of restaurant it is, but refined hospitality for full-service restaurants. Those are two polar opposites. No wonder there's so much conflict between them. If you guys have worked in a restaurant, between the front of the house and the back of the house. It's because they're speaking completely different languages and working in totally different ways. Incandescent lights or crummy fluorescent lights in the back of the house with no windows. Beautiful LED lighting at the best, or incandescent lights in the front of the house. So, lighting. This is a walk-in refrigerator. So all of this has a lot to do with energy efficiency. This is the HVAC system. You never want to go on the roof of a restaurant. This is the ventilation system. It's what takes all the smoke up off the cooking line. Greenhouse gas reduction, waste management. A lot of what happens in the restaurant, a lot of the energy that's used in the restaurant comes from the cooking process, literally from the pots and pans that are used. Water, this would be, my point with this one was more about sending bleach down into the water system. I mean, we have grease traps, but what happens is most restaurateurs drag their floor mats out into the parking lot, which doesn't, so when the bleach water goes down through the grates, it doesn't go through the grease trap. I won't go into that much detail again. Water reduction and resource management, recycling, and then the ever cursed dishwashing machine that breaks down all the time. So literally every sustainability issue and opportunity exists in the restaurant. That's my point with this slide. So I'll give you a little wonkish slide. This is actually old data, but it holds true. So what this shows, you don't really need to know anything. The green bar on the left, so left-hand side is talking about the footprint of commercial space. So the footprint of a food service operation is itty-bitty by comparison to the rest of the commercial sector. On the right-hand side, that's energy use by sector. So smallest footprint, second to the largest user. This is one of the reasons that restaurants get so much attention when it comes to sustainability initiatives, because we use so much energy. And this is electricity, with gas, we're the highest user. Come back to sustainable food service. Oh my God, 5 minutes. All right, so I enter into another class at Presidio. It's called Products and Services. And I get this team of 5 people, and I'm like, I have the best idea for a product. And it's a sustainable food service. And I wrote this paper, and we all got excited, and we presented, and Darush, I don't know if you know Darush. So we have this Iranian engineer who teaches products and services, and he unleashed on us. Because what we did was, we had this idea, and then we backed into the user need for the restaurateur, and it was really obvious that we did that. So the whole thing about products and services is you have to build the case of a user need and then come up with a product. Well, we had the product and then try to build the user need, when in fact what happened when we designed a survey, the survey results came back and said the equipment manufacturers would attend a sustainable food service trade show, the sustainability consultants would attend, the electrical efficiency, everybody working in electrical efficiency would attend, but guess who would not attend? The restaurateur. Exactly. One minor detail when designing a food service trade show. So what we did, well, first we really were embarrassed because we were in front of the class and he lambasted us. So we sort of like tucked our tails in, went outside in the hallway, and we thought, okay, first I have to tell you about my true confession. It might be in another slide, but When we sat down after we got lambasted, I said, now I have to tell you the truth. As a sustainability consultant, I would so go to the trade show. As a restaurateur, I would never in a million years go to that trade show. My team was a little mad because it was my idea, right? So what we realized was there's no shortage of sustainability initiatives going to the restaurateur, and there's no shortage of opportunities for the restaurateur to get that information. So here's a lighting retrofit. Where the company wants to push lighting retrofits, which I know because I did it myself, they use sales reps who cold call, they direct mail, they email, they phone call, they do trade magazines. And I can tell you, everybody does the same thing. Efficiency equipment, lighting retrofit, water audit, waste diversion. They're all driving all this information through all the same channels, but differently, all at different times to the restaurateur. I'm very proud of this slide. So that the restaurateur doesn't need more sustainability initiatives pushed at them. It's not what they need. And so that's what was really interesting is then the team is like mulling that over. Okay, it's not a lack of access to information, and it's not a lack of opportunity or incentives. And this is where we get, so then we're like, okay, well, where does the restaurant industry get their data? Now I'm going to drop down to the independent operator, because those larger firms, they go to the National Restaurant Association. National Restaurant Association produces large annual reports that talk about overarching industry trends, which isn't so relevant to the small independent operator who's really just serving that community. And then the other source is the Restaurant News, which is also, need I say that these are both very conservative organizations as well. This is also large, overarching national trends. So we're like, well, where do they get their information? You know where restaurateurs get their information? Their most pertinent information? From restaurant review sites. When you walk into a restaurant in the morning, the executive chef, the prep staff, the owner, the GM, the food staff is all standing around the computer reading, did you see what they said about you last night? Did you see, what about the food? And this is where they get their information. Now I've gone from talking about me, talking about the restaurant industry, talking about sustainability, I'm going to talk about you guys. So you guys, you not as sustainability professionals or business professionals, you as restaurant goers, you are the most important stakeholder in this movement of sustainability and restaurants adopting initiatives. So I have a recommendation. And actually my team and I are working on something that I can't talk about, but if you give me your email address, I'll talk to you about it in a couple of weeks. What you can do is use, set yourself, so if this is what you want, if we want to move the sustainability needle for restaurants, this is what I would recommend. Be pointed in your campaign, in your sustainability campaign, because this is what's so annoying about Yelp and OpenTable. Any Yahoo can get on there and blast, and the more active they are, it seems like the more important that issue is. So in the restaurant industry, gluten-free may be very important, but it's probably 2% important when it comes to like organic vegetables or organic dairy. But the restaurateur has no way to filter that. All the restaurateur gets is whatever's loudest comes through first. So be pointed in your campaign. Use Yelp, use OpenTable, and the thing that we all know as sustainability professionals, do not criticize. I love Zazu. I have the best sustainably sourced, locally farmed salmon, blah, 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 from this farm, and did you know that they're working on a lighting retrofit? And did you know Zazu, pointed towards Zazu, that, they are to compost, but bring in something that the restaurateur could be doing and link it to the initiative, link it to the site that offers that solution. So basically what I'm saying is you guys be sustainability, covert sustainability consultants. Post it on your Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And that is that.